The information provided in this video regarding email marketing, digital strategy, and business growth is for educational and entertainment purposes only. It does not constitute professional marketing, legal, or financial advice. Success in email marketing depends on numerous variables, including audience quality, industry trends, and technical execution. We strongly advise all viewers to conduct their own due diligence and consult with a qualified professional before implementing any high-scale digital strategies. Most businesses are currently lighting their marketing budgets on fire, and they do not even realize it. They spend weeks obsessing over high-resolution product photography and thousands of dollars on social media ads, only to send their hard-earned traffic into an email sequence that reads like a dry instruction manual from 1994. The reality is that the average person receives over 120 emails per day. If your template looks like everyone else's, you aren't just being ignored. You are being actively trained out of your customer's consciousness. Today, we are going to break the cycle of the low open rate and the non-existent click-through. We are moving beyond the basic advice you find in a 5-minute blog post. This is the first part of a 10-part masterclass designed to re-engineer how you communicate with your audience. By the end of this session, you will understand the psychological triggers and structural frameworks that turn a simple digital message into a high-performance conversion engine. The core problem we are solving today is the disconnect between brand intent and consumer action. You have a product or a service that provides genuine value, but that value is getting lost in the noise of a crowded inbox. Historical trends show that while social media algorithms are increasingly volatile and pay-to-play, email remains one of the few channels where you actually own the relationship with your audience. However, owning the relationship is not enough if you do not know how to speak to them. We are going to look at why certain templates fail and how the top 1% of digital marketers structure their campaigns to ensure they are not just seen but felt. This is about moving from a push-style marketing mindset to an attraction-based framework. To understand why templates matter, we have to look at the anatomy of a conversion. A conversion is not a single event. It is a series of micro-decisions. It starts with the decision to not delete the email based on the sender name, followed by the decision to click the subject line, and finally the decision to engage with the body copy. Most templates fail because they try to do everything at once. They have 5 different call to action buttons, 3 different font styles, and a layout that looks like a digital flyer. High-performing templates, by contrast, focus on a singular objective. Whether that objective is a product purchase, a webinar registration, or simply a reply to a question, the structure must lead the eye toward that goal with zero friction. Let us look at a case study involving a mid-sized e-commerce brand that was struggling with a stagnant 3% click-through rate. Their original template was beautiful but bloated. It featured a massive hero image that took 4 seconds to load on mobile devices, and a navigation bar that mimicked their website. When they transitioned to a stripped-back, text-heavy template that prioritized readability and a single, clear button, their engagement metrics did not just crawl up, they transformed. Why? Because they removed the cognitive load from the user. Every element of your template that does not serve the primary goal is a distraction. If a user has to think about where to click, you have already lost them. Depth in template design requires us to talk about the concept of the inverted pyramid. This is a classic journalistic and marketing framework that is often ignored in the rush to make things look pretty. The top of the email should be the widest part of your funnel. A compelling headline or a visual that grabs immediate attention and establishes relevance. As the reader moves down the page, the information should narrow, building anticipation and providing just enough context to justify the final point of the pyramid, which is your call to action. We will be analyzing how to apply this to different types of campaigns, from the welcome sequence to the win-back series for dormant subscribers. Furthermore, we must address the technical reality of modern email consumption. Over 60% of emails are now opened on mobile devices. If your template is not mobile first, it is effectively broken. This means your font sizes need to be legible without zooming, your buttons need to be large enough for a thumb to press accurately, and your layout needs to stack vertically rather than forcing a horizontal scroll. We will go into the specific CSS and HTML considerations that ensure your templates render perfectly across Gmail, Outlook, and Apple Mail, because a beautiful template that breaks in the inbox is a wasted investment. The psychological component is perhaps the most critical. We are going to discuss the importance of the PS line, the power of the pre-header text, and why the first 3 sentences of your email determine the fate of the entire campaign. We are also going to deconstruct the myth of the perfectly polished template. In many industries, historical data suggests that plain text emails or those that mimic a personal message from a friend actually outperform highly produced, graphic-heavy newsletters. This is because people buy from people, not from faceless corporations. Understanding when to use a high-design aesthetic and when to use a raw, personal approach is what separates the amateurs from the masters. Throughout this series, we are going to build a library of frameworks that you can adapt for your specific niche. We aren't just giving you a copy-and-paste solution, because those lose their effectiveness the moment they become common. Instead, we are giving you the foundational principles of direct response design. We will cover the specific metrics you need to track, moving beyond vanity metrics like open rates and focusing on the numbers that actually impact your bottom line. Revenue per email and subscriber lifetime value. This is not about a quick fix. It is about building a sustainable, scalable asset for your business. As we move forward, keep in mind that the best template is one that evolves. What worked 2 years ago is likely losing its edge today as consumer habits shift and inbox filters become more sophisticated. We are going to explore how to use A/B testing to let your audience tell you what they want. By testing one variable at a time, such as the placement of an image or the color of a button, you can create a feedback loop that constantly optimizes your performance. This is a scientific approach to creativity. By the time we finish this 10-part deep dive, you will have a comprehensive understanding of how to craft, deploy, and analyze email campaigns that do more than just sit in an inbox. They will drive the specific, measurable outcomes you need to grow your brand in a competitive US market. Now, let us begin the journey by looking at the specific structural elements that every high-converting welcome email must contain. The welcome email is the single most important message you will ever send to a subscriber. Historical trends indicate that welcome emails have an average open rate of over 80%, which is roughly 4 times the open rate of a standard promotional broadcast. This is the honeymoon phase of your relationship with your lead. In 2026, the digital landscape is more crowded than ever, and if you fail to capitalize on this initial moment of high intent, you are essentially leaving your potential outcomes to chance. Imagine a customer named Sarah living in Austin, Texas. Sarah has been searching for a high-quality, sustainable home office chair for weeks. She finally finds your website, likes what she sees, and hands over her email address in exchange for a guide on ergonomic setups. At that exact moment, Sarah is at peak interest. If she receives a generic automated message that just says thanks for joining, you have wasted a massive opportunity. However, if Sarah opens her inbox and finds a meticulously structured welcome template that validates her choice, delivers immediate value, and sets the stage for what is to come, you have shifted from being a random vendor to a trusted authority. The first structural element of a high-converting welcome template is the immediate delivery of the lead magnet or the incentive. If you offered a discount or a PDF, it must be the very first thing they see. Do not make them hunt for it. In a deep dive analysis of e-commerce performance, brands that placed their primary offer in the first 2 sentences of the welcome email saw a significant increase in immediate conversion rates compared to those that buried the link at the bottom. The template should use a clear, bold button for this delivery. For Sarah in Austin, that button should say download your ergonomic guide now. This is about psychological reinforcement. You are proving that you are a brand that keeps its word. This builds the foundational trust necessary for every subsequent interaction in the customer lifecycle. Once the incentive is delivered, the next phase of the welcome template is the mission statement. This is where you tell the subscriber exactly who you are and why you exist. But here is the secret. It is not actually about you. It is about how you serve them. Instead of saying we have been in business since 2010, the template should say we help professionals like you eliminate back pain so you can focus on your best work. Historical trends show that mission-driven communication fosters much higher long-term retention than purely transactional communication. You want the subscriber to feel like they have joined a community or a movement, not just a mailing list. This section of the template should be concise, perhaps 2 to 3 sentences, using high-impact language that resonates with the specific pain points of your target demographic in the United States. The third pillar of the welcome template is setting expectations. This is where you close the loop on their anxiety about their inbox being flooded. You should explicitly state how often you will be emailing them and what kind of content they will receive. For example, the template might say expect to hear from us twice a week with deep dives into workspace productivity and exclusive early access to our new designs. By doing this, you are conditioning the subscriber to look for your name in their inbox. It reduces the likelihood of them marking your future emails as spam because you have already told them what is coming. In 2026, where privacy and inbox clutter are top of mind for American consumers, this transparency is a competitive advantage. Next, we must integrate social proof. Even though Sarah has already signed up, she might still have lingering doubts about the quality of your brand. A high-converting welcome template includes a small section featuring a testimonial or a notable achievement. Imagine a section that says joined by over 50,000 remote workers across the country, followed by a one-sentence quote from a real customer. This utilizes the psychological principle of consensus. If 50,000 other people trust this brand, Sarah feels safer in her decision to engage. Case studies have shown that including social proof in the initial welcome sequence can improve click-through rates on the second and third emails by providing an early boost to brand credibility. Another critical element is the personal sign-off. In an era of AI-generated everything, human connection is the ultimate currency. Your template should ideally come from a real person, such as the founder or a head of community. Use a real name and, if possible, a small headshot in the signature. This makes the communication feel like a one-to-one dialogue rather than a one-to-many broadcast. When Sarah sees a message from Mark at Ergonomic Solutions rather than just info at Ergonomic Solutions, she is much more likely to feel a sense of accountability to read the content. This personal touch is a hallmark of the most successful viral brands in the US today. They understand that the inbox is a personal space, and they respect it by showing up as a person. The final structural piece of the welcome email is the soft call to action. While the primary goal was to deliver the lead magnet, you should also provide a low-friction way for them to engage further. This could be a link to your most popular blog post, a request to follow your brand on a social platform, or even a simple question like, what is the biggest challenge you are facing right now? This last option is incredibly powerful. When a subscriber replies to your email, it sends a strong signal to email service providers like Gmail and Outlook that your content is wanted and relevant. This improves your overall deliverability, ensuring that your future campaigns actually land in the primary inbox rather than the promotions tab. Let us look at a hypothetical scenario to tie this all together. Imagine a software company based in Silicon Valley launching a new project management tool in 2026. Their welcome email template starts with a header that says "Welcome to the future of focus." Immediately below, they provide a login link to the trial. They then spend 4 sentences explaining their philosophy on deep work and how their tool eliminates distractions. They mention that they only send updates on Tuesdays. They include a logo of a major tech publication that featured them and sign off from the lead developer. Finally, they ask the user to reply with their current team size. This template covers every psychological and technical base. It delivers value, builds trust, sets boundaries, proves worth, humanizes the brand, and secures deliverability. As we move out of the welcome phase and into the broader strategy of campaign templates, we have to address the elephant in the room: the promotional email. Most people get this entirely wrong by being too aggressive or too timid. There is a middle ground that involves a specific psychological trigger, known as the curiosity gap. If you can master the art of the curiosity gap within your promotional templates, you will see engagement levels that most marketers think are impossible. But before you can sell, you have to ensure that your emails are actually being opened, which brings us to the high-stakes world of subject line engineering and pre-header optimization. In the next part, we are going to dive deep into the exact formulas for subject lines that bypass the mental filters of the modern American consumer and compel them to click, even when they are in a rush. We will look at the data behind character counts, the impact of personalization, and why everything you thought you knew about urgency might be sabotaging your results. The subject line is the gatekeeper of your entire email marketing ecosystem. You could have the most life-changing, high-value content inside your template, but if that subject line fails to pierce the noise of a 2026 inbox, your message effectively does not exist. Historical trends in the United States show that nearly 47% of email recipients decide whether to open an email based on the subject line alone. Conversely, 69% of people report email as spam based solely on that same short string of text. This means the stakes are incredibly high. Imagine a marketing director named Marcus in Chicago. Marcus is managing a luxury travel brand. He has spent $30,000 on a professional video shoot for a new resort in the Maldives. He crafts an email with the subject line, "Check out our new resort." The result is an abysmal 9% open rate. Why? Because that subject line is a descriptive statement, not a psychological hook. It offers no incentive, no curiosity, and no personal relevance to a busy executive in the middle of a workday. To fix this, we have to look at the 3 primary psychological drivers of a high-performing subject line. curiosity, self-interest, and social relevance. Let us start with curiosity. This is often referred to as the curiosity gap. It is the space between what a person knows and what they want to know. When you create this gap, the human brain feels a subtle cognitive itch that can only be scratched by clicking. In our case study with Marcus, a much more effective subject line would have been the one thing missing from your next vacation. This does not tell the whole story. It forces Marcus's subscribers to open the email to find the answer. However, you must be careful. If the content inside the email does not immediately bridge that gap, you lose trust. High-performance templates rely on a seamless transition from the curiosity of the subject line to the payoff in the first sentence of the body copy. Next is self-interest. This is the classic "what is in it for me" factor. U.S. consumers in 2026 are highly protective of their time. If you want a slice of their attention, you must signal immediate benefit. This does not mean using aggressive sales language. In fact, historical data suggests that words like free, discount, or act now are often flagged by sophisticated modern spam filters. Instead, focus on the outcome. If Marcus used the subject line "a simpler way to book your 2026 getaways," he is appealing directly to the subscriber's desire for ease and efficiency. This is a subtle but powerful shift from selling a product to selling a solution. Social relevance is the third driver, and it is particularly effective in a hyper-connected society. This involves using names, locations, or shared interests to create an immediate sense of familiarity. This brings us to the data behind personalization. For years, marketers thought personalization just meant putting the subscriber's first name in the subject line. While historical trends show that personalized subject lines can increase open rates by 26%, the strategy has evolved. In 2026, first-name personalization is the bare minimum. True personalization involves behavioral data. Imagine if Marcus sent an email to a segment of his list that had specifically searched for overwater bungalows. His subject line could be "since you were looking at the Maldives." This shows the subscriber that the brand is paying attention to their specific needs, which creates a much higher level of engagement than a generic blast. We also have to discuss the technical constraints of the modern inbox. In the United States, over 70% of emails are viewed on mobile devices, specifically on smartphones with narrow screens. This means your subject line is often truncated after about 35 to 40 characters. If your value proposition is at the end of a 60-character sentence, your audience will never see it. The most successful templates prioritize the hook in the first 4 words. Every character is expensive real estate. You should also be aware of the pre-header text, which is the short snippet of text that appears after the subject line in most email clients. Think of the subject line as the movie title and the pre-header as the movie trailer. They must work in tandem. If your subject line is "the one thing missing from your next vacation," your pre-header should provide the context. Discover the secret to stress-free Maldives booking. When these two elements align, you create a cohesive narrative that significantly increases the likelihood of a click. There is a common mistake that many marketers make regarding urgency. They think that by adding phrases like "last chance" or "only 2 hours left," they are driving action. While this can work in specific high-stakes scenarios, using fake urgency is a quick way to destroy your brand's reputation. Modern consumers are savvy. They can spot a manufactured deadline from a mile away. Case studies from top-tier retail brands suggest that genuine, context-based urgency is far more effective. For example, instead of "last chance," use your "early access window closes at midnight." This provides a logical reason for the deadline and feels more like a helpful reminder than a high-pressure sales tactic. This shift in tone preserves the relationship while still encouraging timely action. Let us look at a step-by-step framework for engineering these subject lines. Step 1 is the brain dump. Write 10 different subject lines for a single email. Do not self-censor. Use different angles, one that is short and punchy, one that is a question, and one that is a direct benefit statement. Step 2 is the elimination phase. Remove anything that sounds like a used car salesperson. Step 3 is the mobile check. Send a test email to yourself and look at it on your phone. Does the core message get cut off? Step 4 is the A/B test. Most email service providers allow you to send 2 different subject lines to a small percentage of your list. The winner is then automatically sent to the remaining 90%. This is how you move from guessing to knowing. By analyzing the potential outcomes of these tests over time, you can develop a proprietary list of words and structures that resonate specifically with your unique audience. Consider the case of a fitness app launching a new nutrition feature in 2026. They have a character named David, a busy lawyer in New York who wants to eat better but has zero time. If the app sends an email with the subject line "New nutrition features are here," David will likely ignore it. But if the subject line is "Why your meal prep is failing you," David is curious because it addresses a specific pain point. If the pre-header adds in the 3-minute fix, David is hooked. This combination of identifying a problem and hinting at a fast solution is the gold standard of subject line engineering. It respects David's time while promising a specific, relevant benefit. As we master the art of getting the email opened, we must transition to the next phase of the deep dive: the body copy. This is where the real work happens. You have successfully navigated the inbox and captured the attention of your subscriber, but now you have to keep it. The way you structure your text, the way you use white space, and the way you bridge the gap between your hook and your call to action will determine if that open turns into a conversion. In the next part, we are going to break down the specific storytelling frameworks that keep people reading until the very last word. We will explore the soap opera sequence, the cliffhanger technique, and how to write in a way that feels like a personal conversation, even when you are reaching hundreds of thousands of people. We will also look at the critical role of visual hierarchy, and why your paragraph length might be the reason your click-through rates are stalling. The average attention span for an email in 2026 has dropped to roughly 8 seconds. This means if your body copy looks like a wall of text from a legal textbook, your subscriber has mentally checked out before they even read the first word. To combat this, you must master the art of visual hierarchy and structural rhythm. Imagine a small business owner named Chloe in Seattle, who runs an organic skincare line. She has a brilliant new product, a botanical serum, and she sends out a beautiful email. However, her body copy consists of 2 massive paragraphs that are 8 sentences long each. Even though the information is valuable, the cognitive load required to digest it is too high for someone checking their phone while waiting for a latte. Historical trends show that emails with shorter paragraphs and ample white space see a significant lift in click-through rates because they allow for scanning. Chloe needs to transition to a micro-content strategy where every sentence serves as a slide, leading the reader down the page with almost zero effort. The first rule of high-converting body copy is the one idea per email principle. A common mistake in the United States marketing landscape is trying to announce a new sale, share a blog post, and ask for a social media follow all in the same template. This creates decision paralysis. When you give a subscriber 3 things to do, they often choose to do none of them. Instead, your template should be a straight line from the hook to a single specific call to action. If you are Chloe in Seattle, your email should focus entirely on the one specific problem the botanical serum solves, such as late-night skin dehydration. By narrowing the focus, you increase the intensity of the message. Case studies in the direct response industry suggest that single-goal emails can outperform multi-goal newsletters by as much as 42% in terms of direct conversions. Next, we must look at the storytelling framework known as the soap opera sequence. This is a technique where you build a narrative over several days, but it starts with the internal structure of the very first email. You begin with a high-stakes moment or a relatable struggle. For example, Chloe might start her email with, "I looked in the mirror at 3 a.m. and barely recognized the tired, dull skin looking back at me." This is an immediate emotional hook. It creates a connection through shared vulnerability. In the US market, consumers are increasingly cynical toward corporate jargon. They crave authenticity. By starting with a story, you bypass the defensive filters that people usually have when they know they are being marketed to. You are not a salesperson. You are a person sharing a discovery. Once you have established the story, you move into the transition phase. This is where you connect the personal anecdote to the broader problem. You explain why the struggle exists and why traditional solutions often fail. This is the part of the template where you provide educational value. Historical trends in 2026 show that the most successful brands are those that teach their customers something new. Chloe could explain the science of transepidermal water loss and why standard moisturizers sometimes just sit on the surface of the skin. By providing this insight, she establishes herself as an authority. This creates a psychological shift in the reader. They no longer feel like they are being sold a product. They feel like they are being offered a solution to a problem they now better understand. The step-by-step process of building this body copy requires a specific rhythmic pattern. Use the 1-3-1 rule. This means one short sentence, followed by a 3-line paragraph, followed by another single-line sentence. This creates a visual pace that mimics a natural conversation. It keeps the reader's eyes moving down the screen. If you look at high-performing email templates from top-tier tech companies or lifestyle brands, you will notice they rarely have paragraphs longer than 4 lines. They also use formatting to highlight key takeaways. While we are avoiding graphical icons, you can use simple text formatting like bullet points or numbered lists to break up complex information. Imagine if Chloe listed the 3 key ingredients in her serum using a clean vertical list. This makes the benefits instantly digestible for a busy reader like David in New York or Sarah in Austin. We also need to discuss the bridge between the educational content and the call to action. This is often where templates fall apart. Marketers often make a jarring leap from a story to a buy now button. A more effective approach is the soft transition. You want to frame the product as the natural conclusion to the story you just told. If the problem is skin dehydration at 3 a.m., and the education is about how certain botanicals penetrate deeper, the transition is, that is why I spent 14 months developing a formula that works while you sleep. You are introducing the product as the hero of the story. This creates a logical flow that leads the subscriber toward the click with a sense of inevitability. Furthermore, let us analyze the power of the PS line. Research into eye tracking patterns shows that the PS is often the second most read part of an email after the subject line. People tend to scan the top, scroll to the bottom to see who it is from, and then read the very last line. This is prime real estate. You should use the PS to restate your primary offer, add a piece of social proof, or create a genuine sense of time sensitivity. For example, Chloe might write PS. Our first batch of the botanical serum sold out in 4 days. We just restocked, but historical trends suggest this supply will only last through the weekend. This is a subtle way to encourage action without being overbearing in the main body copy. Data from the past 3 years indicates that conversational copy, writing the way you speak, is significantly more effective than formal business prose. Use contractions. Use questions. Address the reader as you. This creates a sense of intimacy. Imagine you are writing a letter to a friend who has the problem your product solves. You wouldn't use corporate buzzwords like synergistic alignment or paradigm shift. You would use simple, direct language. This approach is particularly effective for the US audience, which values directness and transparency. When people feel like they are being spoken to as an individual rather than a segment of a database, their loyalty to the brand increases. As we conclude this exploration of body copy and structural rhythm, we have to prepare for the technical engine that drives these templates forward, the call to action. You have captured their interest, you have told a compelling story, and you have provided educational value. But if your button text or your link placement is off, all that effort results in zero ROI. A call to action is more than just a button. It is a psychological trigger that requires its own deep dive. In the next part, we are going to look at the linguistics of the click. We will explore why learn more is a conversion killer and what you should use instead. We will also dive into the placement strategy should your link be at the top, the middle, or the bottom. We are going to look at the impact of button color, the surrounding white space, and the specific phrases that increase the probability of a click by over 30% based on recent case studies. The journey from the inbox to the checkout page is paved with these tiny critical decisions. The call to action is the definitive moment of truth in every email campaign. You have successfully navigated the landscape of the inbox, bypassed the mental filters of your subscriber, and delivered a narrative that resonates. But none of that matters if the user does not take the final leap. In 2026, the psychology of the click has become more complex. Consumers are no longer responding to generic demands. Imagine a high-performing software developer named Jordan in Denver. Jordan is looking for a project management tool that integrates with his specific coding environment. He opens an email that provides incredible value, but the button at the bottom simply says "click here." To Jordan, this feels like an administrative chore. It is vague and uninspired. Historical trends show that link text that describes the destination or the benefit consistently outperforms generic commands. If the button instead said "see the integration in action," Jordan is much more likely to engage because the label aligns with his specific intent. The linguistics of the call to action, or CTA, require a shift from the perspective of the sender to the perspective of the receiver. Most marketers use friction-heavy words. Words like buy, submit, sign up, or register imply work or a loss of resources. High-converting templates in the US market today utilize low-friction, high-reward language. Instead of join our webinar, try claim your seat. Instead of download PDF, try get the strategy guide. By changing the verb, you change the perceived value of the action. Case studies involving SaaS companies have shown that switching from a friction-based CTA like Start Trial to a benefit-based CTA like Build Your First Project can result in a significant uplift in click-through rates. You are essentially telling the user what they are going to get or do, rather than what you want them to perform. Placement strategy is the next pillar of the deep dive. There is a long-standing debate in the marketing community. Should the CTA be above the fold, or at the very end of the email? The answer in 2026 is that it depends on the complexity of the ask. For a low-investment action, such as reading a blog post or viewing a new product photo, an early CTA works well for users who are already convinced. However, for a high-investment action, such as a high-ticket purchase or a detailed consultation, the CTA must come after the value has been established. If you ask for a sale before you have explained the benefits, you create psychological resistance. Imagine if Jordan in Denver received an email asking him to pay for a premium subscription in the first paragraph. He would delete it immediately. But if the CTA appears after 3 paragraphs of case studies showing how other developers save 10 hours a week, the click becomes the logical next step. We also have to consider the visual design of the CTA. In a mobile-first world, your links must be touch-friendly. This is often referred to as the fat finger rule. If your link is a tiny piece of blue underlined text surrounded by other text, the user might accidentally click the wrong thing, or find it too difficult to tap while they are walking or commuting. High-performance templates use buttons that span at least 44 pixels in height. This is the standard for accessibility and ease of use. Furthermore, the color of the button should provide high contrast with the background of the email. While there is no single best color for conversions, the isolation effect, also known as the von Restorff effect, suggests that an element that stands out from its surroundings is the one most likely to be remembered and acted upon. If your email template is primarily white and gray, a vibrant orange or deep blue button creates a visual anchor that draws the eye directly to the goal. Beyond the primary button, we need to talk about the use of multiple links. While we previously established that an email should have one singular goal, that does not mean it should only have one link. Historical trends suggest that including the same link in 3 different formats can capture different types of readers. You might have a clickable hero image at the top for visual learners, a standard button in the middle for those who are scanning, and a hyperlinked line of text in the PS for those who read every word. This ensures that no matter how a subscriber consumes your content, the exit ramp to your landing page is always within reach. A study of over 500,000 campaigns found that templates with at least 3 instances of the primary link saw a 20% higher total click-through rate than those with only one. Another advanced tactic is the use of negative space around the CTA. In the United States, where digital clutter is at an all-time high, simplicity is a premium. If your button is crowded by text, images, and social media icons, its impact is diluted. By surrounding your button with white space, you are signaling to the brain that this is the most important element on the page. It creates a sense of calm and clarity. Imagine a template used by a high-end furniture brand in 2026. The email shows a single stunning image of a minimalist desk. Below it, there is nothing but 3 inches of white space and a single elegant button that says Explore the collection. The lack of clutter makes the action feel sophisticated and effortless. Let us look at a step-by-step detail for crafting the perfect CTA sequence. Step 1 is identifying the primary emotion you want the user to feel. Is it curiosity, the fear of missing out, or a desire for improvement? Step 2 is matching the CTA text to that emotion. If you are using curiosity, your button might say Reveal the secret. If you are using improvement, it might say Upgrade my workflow. Step 3 is the visual hierarchy check. Does the button stand out when you squint your eyes at the screen? If it disappears into the layout, you need more contrast or more white space. Step 4 is the technical verification. Does every link in the email lead to the same destination? And is that destination optimized for the same mobile experience as the email? The context of 2026 also requires us to discuss the role of microcopy. This is the tiny text that often appears directly under a button. For example, a button that says Start Your Trial might have microcopy underneath that says No credit card required or cancel anytime. This is a powerful way to address last-minute objections at the exact moment the user is deciding whether to click. For someone like Jordan, seeing that there is no financial risk involved can be the difference between a click and a delete. Historical trends in conversion rate optimization show that well-placed microcopy can reduce anxiety and increase the potential outcomes of a campaign by double digits. Furthermore, we must address the secondary CTA. While the primary goal is king, Sometimes a user simply isn't ready to commit to the main ask. In these cases, a secondary lower-stakes CTA can keep them in your ecosystem. For example, if the main goal is to book a sales call, a secondary CTA could be watch the 2-minute demo. This allows you to segment your audience. Those who click the primary link are high-intent leads, while those who click the secondary link are still in the consideration phase. You can then use this data to trigger different follow-up sequences, ensuring that your communication remains relevant to their stage in the customer journey. As we master the linguistics and the physics of the click, we move toward a larger realization. The CTA is only as good as the audience receiving it. You can have the most optimized button in the world, but if you are sending it to the wrong person, your conversion rate will always be 0. This brings us to the critical concept of segmentation and list hygiene. In the next part, we are going to explore how to slice your audience into high-performance groups. We will look at why a list of 10,000 unsegmented subscribers is often less valuable than a list of 1,000 highly targeted ones. We will dive into behavioral triggers, the importance of removing inactive users, and the specific automation workflows that ensure your best templates are being seen by your best customers at the exact right time. The science of who you are emailing is just as important as the art of what you are sending. Segmentation is the silent engine of the modern email campaign. If you are still sending the same template to every single person on your list, you are effectively using a megaphone to talk to a crowd when you should be using a telephone to talk to an individual. In the United States in 2026, the cost of acquiring a customer has skyrocketed, making it mathematically impossible to ignore the efficiency of targeted messaging. Imagine a subscriber named Elena in Miami. Elena is a fitness enthusiast who has only ever purchased yoga equipment from your online store. If you send her a template focused on heavy-duty weightlifting gear for powerlifters, she is not just going to ignore it, she is going to start associating your brand with irrelevance. Historical trends show that irrelevant content is the #1 reason people unsubscribe from lists. However, if you segment Elena into a yoga and mindfulness group and send her a template specifically about new eco-friendly mats, your potential outcomes for engagement and revenue increase exponentially. The first step in high-performance segmentation is the move from demographic data to behavioral data. Demographics tell you who a person is, but behaviors tell you what they want. In 2026, a person's age or zip code is far less predictive than their last 3 clicks. Your email service provider should be tracking every interaction. If a subscriber opens 3 emails about a specific topic but never clicks a purchase link, they are in an education-needed segment. If they click every sale link but never open a long-form educational email, they are in a price-sensitive segment. Case studies from major retail giants suggest that segmented campaigns see an average 76% increase in revenue compared to generic broadcasts. You must create specific templates for these different psychological states. A price-sensitive subscriber needs a template that emphasizes value and savings, while an education-oriented subscriber needs a template that emphasizes features, benefits, and deep-dive comparisons. Let us look at a case study involving a mid-sized software company based in New York. They had a list of 50,000 subscribers and a stagnant conversion rate. They decided to implement a simple behavioral segment based on product usage. They separated their list into power users who logged in every day and dormant users who had not logged in for 30 days. The power users received a template focused on advanced shortcuts and hidden features, while the dormant users received a win-back sequence focused on recent updates and a simplified re-onboarding guide. The result was not just a lift in clicks, it was a total revitalization of their active user base. This proves that a template is only as good as the context of the person reading it. If you try to speak to everyone, you end up speaking to no one. The second pillar of this deep dive is list hygiene. This is the painful but necessary process of deleting people who are not opening your emails. It sounds counterintuitive to intentionally shrink your list, but in 2026, deliverability is governed by engagement. If you have 10,000 people on your list and 5,000 of them have not opened an email in 6 months, Gmail and Outlook will begin to view your content as low quality. This can cause your emails to land in the spam folder even for the people who actually want to read them. By cleaning your list, you are signaling to email providers that your content is highly sought after. Historical trends in the U.S. marketing sector show that brands with smaller, cleaner lists often generate more total revenue than those with massive, bloated lists because their deliverability rates are near perfect. You should run a re-engagement campaign twice a year. Use a template with a subject line like "Are we breaking up?" Or "Is this still relevant to you?" If they do not open that final message, remove them. This protects the health of your entire ecosystem. Next, we must talk about the logic of automation triggers. An automation trigger is a template that is sent automatically based on a specific action. The most famous of these is the abandoned cart email. Imagine a customer named Liam in Chicago. Liam adds a high-end espresso machine to his cart, enters his email, but gets distracted by a phone call and leaves the site. A high-converting abandoned cart template should be sent within 1 hour. It should not be a pushy sales pitch. It should be a helpful reminder. The template should include a clear image of the exact product he left behind and a single button that says resume your order. Data from 2025 and 2026 indicates that abandoned cart sequences can recover up to 15% of lost sales when they are structured correctly. This is the ultimate example of sending the right message at the right time. Another critical trigger is the post-purchase sequence. Most brands make the mistake of stopping the communication once the credit card is charged. This is the moment when buyer's remorse is most likely to set in. A post-purchase template should focus on validation and education. If Liam buys that espresso machine, the next email he gets should be a guide on how to pull the perfect shot or how to clean the machine for longevity. By providing this value after the sale, you are reducing the likelihood of a return and increasing the likelihood of a future purchase. You are moving the relationship from a one-time transaction to a long-term partnership. Case studies in the luxury goods market show that customers who receive high-quality post-purchase education have a 30% higher lifetime value than those who receive nothing but a receipt. We also need to explore the concept of tagging. Every time a subscriber clicks a link in your template, they should be tagged with that interest. If you are running a gardening brand and someone clicks a link about organic pesticides, you tag them with organic gardening. Over time, you build an incredibly detailed map of your audience's preferences. In 2026, this allows you to send hyper-targeted mini-campaigns. Instead of sending a general spring gardening guide to everyone, you can send the organic pesticide guide specifically to the people you know care about that topic. The level of personalization this provides is the closest you can get to a one-on-one conversation at scale. This is how small teams in the US are outcompeting massive corporations. They are using data to be more human and more relevant. The step-by-step detail for setting this up involves mapping out your customer journey. Step 1 is identifying the 3 main entry points to your list. Step 2 is creating a unique welcome sequence for each entry point. Step 3 is setting up behavioral tags for your most important links. Step 4 is establishing a monthly routine for list cleaning. This infrastructure ensures that your templates are always working in the background to move people closer to a conversion. It removes the guesswork from your marketing and replaces it with a predictable, data-driven system. As we look at the power of segmentation and automation, we have to address the visual side of the equation once more. We have the right person and the right message, but how do we present the products themselves? There is a psychological art to how products are displayed within a template that can significantly alter the perceived value and the desire to click. In the next part, we are going to dive into the world of product-focused templates. We will look at the science of the hero image, the rule of 3 in product grids, and why the background color of your product shots might be killing your conversions. We will also discuss the rise of user-generated content in email templates, and how showing real people using your products can bridge the trust gap in a way that professional photography never will. The visual arrangement of your offer is the final bridge between the reader's interest and their action. The presentation of your product within a template is where the psychological heavy lifting of your brand meets the literal transaction. In 2026, American consumers are visually overstimulated. They can spot a generic stock photo from a mile away, and they have developed a subconscious immunity to standard product grids. If you want to break through that barrier, your template must move beyond simply displaying an item. It must narrate the experience of owning it. Imagine a fitness enthusiast named Taylor in Los Angeles. Taylor is looking for a high-end recovery tool, perhaps a smart foam roller that syncs with her watch. If she receives an email showing the product on a sterile white background with a list of technical specs, she might be mildly interested. But if the template features a high-definition hero image of the roller being used in a sun-drenched, modern apartment, placing the product in a lifestyle context she aspires to, the emotional connection is instantaneous. Historical trends suggest that lifestyle-integrated product photography yields a significantly higher click-through rate than isolated product shots because it helps the consumer visualize the outcome in their own life. The first technical pillar of product-focused templates is the rule of 3. Data from consumer behavior studies in the United States shows that the human brain processes information most efficiently when it is presented in trios. When you are designing a product grid for a seasonal launch, avoid the temptation to list 10 different items. Instead, select 3 flagship products and give them room to breathe. Each item should have its own clear heading, a 2-sentence benefit-driven description, and a dedicated call to action. This prevents the paradox of choice, where too many options lead to zero action. For a brand selling coffee beans in Seattle, this might look like featuring a light roast, a medium roast, and a dark roast. By categorizing them clearly, you help the customer self-segment. They don't have to think. They just have to choose the profile that matches their preference. Case studies have shown that simplifying a product grid from 6 items to 3 can increase total revenue per email by over 20% because it reduces the friction of the decision-making process. Next, we must analyze the rise of user-generated content, or UGC, within email templates. In 2026, trust is the rarest commodity in the digital economy. A professional photo shoot tells the customer what you think of your product, but a photo from a real customer tells them the truth. High-converting templates are increasingly integrating social media-style photos directly into the body of the email. Imagine if Taylor in Los Angeles scrolls down her email and sees a section titled Real Results from the community featuring 3 unpolished, authentic photos of real people using the foam roller in their actual gyms. This creates an immediate sense of social proof that a polished studio shot cannot replicate. Historical trends indicate that emails featuring UGC see a 14% increase in click-through rates and a 29% increase in web conversion rates. It bridges the gap between marketing and reality. You aren't just selling a tool. You are showing that a community of people just like Taylor is already seeing success with it. The second pillar of visual arrangement is the concept of focal point isolation. Your hero image, the first large visual at the top of the email, has one job: to stop the scroll. It should not be cluttered with text or multiple competing elements. If you are selling a new line of minimalist watches, the hero image should be a close-up that shows the texture of the leather and the reflection on the glass. The lighting should guide the eye toward the most important feature. Furthermore, the background color of your product shots plays a vital role in psychological perception. While white is the standard for e-commerce, 2026 trends are leaning toward muted, earthy tones or high-contrast dark modes that make the product pop. If your product is a bright color, a neutral, desaturated background creates a visual pop that demands attention. Case studies in the fashion industry have shown that changing background colors to match the season or the mood of the collection can lead to a measurable lift in engagement. Another critical element in product-heavy templates is the use of dynamic content blocks. This is where automation meets design. In 2026, your template should not be static. If a customer has previously purchased a specific type of skincare, the product grid in their next email should automatically populate with items that complement that purchase. This is the difference between a generic catalog and a personal shopping experience. If Taylor bought the smart foam roller, her next email shouldn't show her the same roller again. It should show her the cooling gel and the carrying case. Step by step, this involves setting up your email service provider to pull data from your website's API. It ensures that every pixel of the template is relevant to the individual recipient. When the content is this tailored, the customer feels understood, which is the strongest foundation for long-term brand loyalty. We also need to discuss the linguistics of product descriptions within the template. Avoid technical jargon unless your audience is strictly professional. Instead of saying the watch has a 42mm sapphire crystal lens, say it features a scratch-resistant face designed to withstand your daily commute and weekend adventures. You are translating a feature into a lifestyle benefit. Every word in the description should answer the question: how does this make the customer's life better? Use sensory language. Describe how the leather feels, how the coffee smells, or how the software simplifies a complex task. This type of descriptive copy, paired with high-quality visuals, creates a multidimensional experience in the mind of the reader. Furthermore, let us look at the placement of pricing. There is a strategic choice here. Do you include the price in the email or force the click to see it? Historical trends suggest that for luxury or high-ticket items, omitting the price and focusing on the value can increase the curiosity gap and drive more clicks. However, for everyday consumer goods or limited-time sales, transparency is usually better. If a price is a competitive advantage, make it a focal point. If the price is a barrier, make the value the focal point. In 2026, U.S. consumers appreciate honesty. If you are running a sale, show the original price crossed out next to the new price. This utilizes the anchoring effect, where the first number mentioned provides a point of reference for the perceived value of the second number. The final structural detail for product templates is the exit intent within the email. If the user has scrolled past all your products and still hasn't clicked, you need a final low-friction option at the bottom. This could be a link to a gift guide, a quiz to find their perfect fit, or a customer service contact link. You want to ensure that even if they aren't ready to buy today, they don't leave the email without a positive interaction with your brand. This keeps the door open for future campaigns. As we conclude this masterclass on visual product arrangement, we have covered how to get the open, how to write the copy, how to place the button, and how to show the product. But there is one final, often overlooked variable that can sink even the most beautiful template: the technical infrastructure of deliverability and the legality of your sending habits. You can have the best template in the world, but if it's sitting in the spam folder or if you're violating new 2026 digital privacy laws, your revenue will be zero. In the next part, we are going to dive into the high-stakes world of email deliverability. We will explore the technical settings like DKIM and SPF that act as your digital passport, the impact of sender reputation, and the legal frameworks you must navigate to ensure your campaigns stay on the right side of the law while reaching the maximum number of people. If the body copy is the heart of the email, deliverability is the oxygen that keeps it alive. Deliverability is the technical foundation upon which every successful email campaign is built. In 2026, the gatekeepers of the inbox, primarily Gmail, Outlook, and Apple Mail, have deployed highly sophisticated artificial intelligence models to filter out unwanted or low-quality content. This means that even if you have spent thousands of dollars on professional copywriting and high-end photography, your message might never reach the human eye if your technical infrastructure is flawed. Imagine a business owner named Robert in Atlanta. Robert has a list of 50,000 highly engaged customers, and he is launching a new seasonal collection. He sends out his best template yet, but 40% of his emails land in the spam folder because he neglected his sender reputation. To Robert, this looks like a failed campaign, but the reality is a technical failure at the architectural level. Historical trends indicate that for every 1% increase in your spam rate, your potential outcomes for revenue drop by an even higher margin due to the cascading effect of reduced sender authority. The first step in securing your deliverability is the implementation of the 3 pillars of authentication: SPF, DKIM, and DMARC. Think of these as your digital passport and visa. SPF, or Sender Policy Framework, is a record in your DNS that tells the world which mail servers are authorized to send emails on behalf of your domain. Without this, an inbox provider has no way of knowing if the email is actually from you or a malicious actor. DKIM, or Domain Keys Identified Mail, adds a cryptographic signature to your emails, ensuring that the content has not been tampered with during transit. Finally, DMARC, or Domain-Based Message Authentication, Reporting, and Conformance, provides instructions to the receiving server on what to do if an email fails SPF or DKIM checks. In 2026, major providers have moved from recommending these settings to requiring them. Case studies from the cybersecurity sector show that brands that fully implement DMARC see a significant reduction in domain spoofing and a measurable improvement in overall inbox placement. Beyond the technical settings, we must address the concept of sender reputation. Your sender reputation is a score assigned to your domain and IP address based on your historical behavior. High complaint rates, high bounce rates, and low engagement scores all contribute to a negative reputation. To maintain a high score, you must implement a process known as warming your IP. If Robert in Atlanta suddenly sends 50,000 emails from a brand new domain, the inbox providers will view this as suspicious behavior typical of a spammer. A high-performance strategy involves starting with small batches of emails to your most engaged subscribers and slowly increasing the volume over several weeks. This proves to the providers that your content is wanted. Historical data suggests that a properly warmed IP address can maintain a deliverability rate of over 99%, while a cold IP frequently triggers automated blocks. Another critical factor in 2026 is the impact of list engagement on deliverability. The algorithms used by Gmail and Outlook now look at how people interact with your emails to determine where to place them. If a large percentage of your audience opens your emails, clicks links, and occasionally replies, the providers will move your content to the primary inbox. If, however, people consistently delete your emails without opening them, your content will eventually be relegated to the Promotions tab or the spam folder. This is why we previously discussed the importance of list hygiene. Removing inactive subscribers is not just about saving money on your email service provider subscription. It is a defensive maneuver to protect your sender reputation. A case study involving a US-based educational platform showed that by purging 30% of their inactive list, they increased their open rates by 50% and saw a 20% lift in total revenue because their emails were finally reaching the primary inbox of their active users. Legality and compliance are the next essential components of this deep dive. In 2026, the regulatory landscape has become more stringent with updates to frameworks like the CCPA in California and other state-level privacy laws across the United States. Compliance is no longer optional. It is a core part of your brand identity. Every high-converting template must include a clear, easy-to-find unsubscribe link. Trying to hide this link is a strategic mistake. If a user cannot find the unsubscribe button, they will click the report spam button instead, which is far more damaging to your reputation. Furthermore, your template must include your physical business address and a clear statement about why the user is receiving the email. This transparency builds trust and keeps you on the right side of the law. We also need to discuss the technical weight of your template. In 2026, mobile data speeds are fast, but inbox providers still clip emails that are too large. Gmail, for instance, typically clips any email larger than 102 KB. This means the bottom half of your email, which likely contains your call to action and your legal footer, will be hidden behind a view entire message link. Most users will not click that link. To avoid this, your template should be coded with clean, minimal HTML. Avoid using excessive inline CSS, and ensure your images are compressed for the web. A high-resolution photo that looks great on a desktop might be 5 megabytes in size, which is a disaster for deliverability and user experience. Use modern image formats like WebP, which offer high quality at a fraction of the file size of a traditional JPEG. A step-by-step detail for a deliverability audit begins with testing your current status. Use tools like a seed list to see where your emails are landing across different providers. Step 1 is checking your domain against major blacklists. If you find yourself on a blacklist, you must reach out to the provider to resolve the issue, which usually involves proving you have cleaned up your list. Step 2 is verifying your SPF, DKIM, and MARC records. Step 3 is analyzing your bounce logs. If you see a high number of hard bounces, it means your list acquisition process is flawed, and you are likely collecting fake or mistyped email addresses. Implementing a double opt-in process, where a user must click a link in a confirmation email to join your list, is an excellent way to ensure list quality. While it might result in a slightly smaller list, the quality and deliverability of that list will be vastly superior. Finally, we must consider the human element of deliverability. One of the most powerful signals of a high-quality sender is a reply. When a subscriber like Sarah in Austin or David in New York replies to your email, it tells the inbox provider that you are a real person engaged in a two-way conversation. High-performance templates often include a prompt at the end asking for feedback, or a simple answer to a question. This does more than just provide valuable market research. It acts as a massive boost to your deliverability. If you can get 5% of your audience to reply to your welcome email, you are essentially insulating your domain against future spam filters. As we master the technical engine and the legal guardrails of email marketing, we have built a system that is robust, compliant, and efficient. We have the strategy, the copy, the visuals, and the deliverability. But how do we know if it is truly working? In the world of 2026 data, a simple open rate is no longer a reliable metric due to privacy protections like Apple's Mail Privacy Protection. We need a deeper set of analytics to measure our success. In the next part, we are going to dive into the world of advanced email metrics. We will look at how to calculate true engagement, the importance of revenue per subscriber, and how to use heat maps to see exactly where your audience is looking and clicking. We will move beyond the vanity metrics and focus on the data that tells the real story of your business growth. In 2026, the traditional open rate is a ghost of a metric. Due to the widespread adoption of privacy protections by major tech providers, the data transmitted back to your email service provider often includes false positives from automated bot opens used to scan for malicious links. If you are basing your entire strategy on open rates, you are essentially steering a ship using a compass that is spinning in circles. Imagine a marketing analyst named Maya in San Francisco. Maya sees a 60% open rate on her latest campaign and celebrates. However, when she looks at her actual revenue, there is no spike. This is the danger of vanity metrics. Historical trends suggest that high-performance brands have shifted their focus to more reliable, bottom-line data points: click-to-open rate, revenue per subscriber, and the subscriber lifetime value. These metrics provide a crystalline view of how your templates are actually performing in the real world. The first metric we must dissect is the click-to-open rate, or CTOR. Unlike a standard click-through rate, which measures clicks against the total number of emails sent, CTOR measures clicks specifically against the number of people who actually opened the email. This is the truest measure of your template's internal effectiveness. If people are opening your email but not clicking, your subject line is doing its job, but your body copy or your offer is failing to convert that attention into action. A low CTOR is a diagnostic signal that you need to reevaluate your visual hierarchy or the clarity of your call to action. Case studies from the U.S. retail sector show that a healthy CTOR in 2026 sits between 10 and 15%. If you are below this range, your narrative is likely disconnected from the promise of your subject line. Next, let us look at revenue per subscriber, or RPS. This is the ultimate equalizer. You calculate this by taking the total revenue generated from an email campaign and dividing it by the number of active subscribers on your list. This prevents you from being misled by the size of your list. Imagine if Maya has a list of 10,000 people and makes $1,000, while a competitor has a list of 1,000 people and also makes $1,000. The competitor's RPS is 10 times higher. This data allows you to see the true efficiency of your templates. Historical trends in the e-commerce industry indicate that increasing your RPS by just a few cents can lead to massive potential outcomes for annual growth. It forces you to stop focusing on list growth for the sake of numbers and start focusing on the quality of the individuals you are reaching. To get a deeper look at user behavior, we must utilize heat maps. A heat map is a visual representation of where users are clicking within your email template. In 2026, many advanced email platforms offer this as a standard feature. Imagine if Maya looks at a heat map of her newsletter and realizes that 70% of the clicks are happening on a small, unformatted text link in the third paragraph, while her giant, professionally designed button at the bottom is being completely ignored. This is an epiphany. It tells her that her audience prefers a low-pressure, conversational approach over a high-pressure sales pitch. By analyzing these patterns across multiple campaigns, you can identify the specific zones of your template that carry the most weight. You might find that your PS line is a high-traffic area, suggesting you should move your most important secondary offers there. We also need to discuss the concept of the conversion decay rate. This measures the time elapsed between the email being sent and the final purchase. In the United States, where the shopping cycle is increasingly rapid, understanding this window is vital for timing your follow-up templates. If data shows that 80% of your conversions happen within the first 4 hours of an email being sent, then your window for urgency is very small. However, if your product requires more consideration, like a high-end mattress or a professional certification, and the conversion decay shows a peak at 48 hours, your template strategy must include a reminder sequence that triggers at that exact moment of peak interest. This is the step-by-step detail of data-driven scheduling. Let us look at a case study involving a subscription-based meal kit service in 2026. They noticed their subscriber lifetime value, or LTV, was dropping. By diving into their analytics, they found that customers who engaged with their educational recipe templates had an LTV that was 40% higher than those who only engaged with discount-focused templates. This data fundamentally changed their strategy. They stopped sending 3 sales emails a week and switched to a hybrid model that prioritized culinary education. The result was a slight drop in immediate revenue, but a massive increase in long-term retention. This is the power of looking at the long-tail data rather than just the immediate results of a single blast. Furthermore, we must address the bounce-to-conversion ratio. If you are driving a high amount of traffic from your email to a landing page, but that traffic is not converting, the problem might not be your email template, it might be the transition. In 2026, the handoff between the email and the website must be seamless. If your email uses a specific tone of voice and a specific color palette, but your landing page looks entirely different, you create a moment of cognitive dissonance that causes the user to bounce. Analyze your analytics to see where the drop-off is occurring. If the click-through rate is high but the site conversion is low, your email template might be overpromising what the landing page can deliver. The technical setup for this level of tracking involves UTM parameters. Every link in your template should be tagged with specific data points: the source, the medium, the campaign name, and even the specific version of the template. This allows you to go into your web analytics and see exactly which email, and even which specific link within that email, is responsible for a sale. For a business owner like Robert in Atlanta, this means he no longer has to guess which part of his marketing budget is working. He can see that the testimonial section of his Tuesday email generated $4,000 in sales, while the hero image of his Thursday email only generated $500. This level of granular detail is what allows for the constant optimization we have discussed throughout this masterclass. Another metric to watch is the unsubscribe rate relative to the complaint rate. A high unsubscribe rate is not always bad. It can simply be the result of a healthy list cleaning process or a natural filtering of people who aren't your target audience. However, a high complaint rate, people marking your email as spam, is a crisis. In 2026, if your complaint rate exceeds 0.1%, you are in the danger zone for deliverability. By monitoring the ratio between these two, you can gauge the health of your brand's reputation. If people are unsubscribing politely, your content is just not for them. If they are reporting you, your content is perceived as intrusive or deceptive. As we conclude this deep dive into the numbers, remember that data is only useful if it leads to an experiment. Every metric we have discussed should serve as a springboard for an A/B test. If your CTOR is low, test a different button color. If your RPS is low, test a different price point or a different bundle. This is the scientific method applied to marketing. We have now covered the hook, the copy, the visuals, the technical settings, and the analytics. You have all the tools to build a world-class email engine, but there is one final piece of the puzzle: the future. In the final part of this series, we are going to look at the emerging trends that will define the next decade of email marketing. We will discuss the integration of AI-driven personalization that happens in real time, the rise of interactive AMP emails that allow users to shop without leaving the inbox, and how the blurring lines between email and private messaging will change the way you communicate with your customers forever. This is the roadmap for what comes next. The future of the inbox is not just about communication. It is about frictionless commerce and hyper-intelligent assistance. In 2026, the traditional static email is being replaced by dynamic, interactive experiences known as AMP for email. Imagine a customer named Sophia in Boston who needs to restock her favorite organic coffee. In the past, she would receive an email, click a link, wait for a mobile browser to load, log into her account, and then complete the purchase. Every one of those steps is a point of friction where she might get a text message, lose her signal, or simply change her mind. With the new generation of email templates, Sophia can select her roast, update her shipping address, and authorize the payment using her thumbprint directly inside the email body. She never leaves her inbox. Historical trends show that every click you remove from a checkout process significantly improves the potential outcomes for conversion. By turning your email into a mini application, you are meeting the customer exactly where they are. The first major shift we are seeing in 2026 is the transition from broadcast-style marketing to predictive personalization. This is not just putting a name in a subject line. It is using artificial intelligence to adjust the actual layout of the template based on the individual user's behavior in real time. For example, if the system knows that Sophia in Boston usually shops on her phone during her morning commute, the template she receives at 8 a.m. will be a high-contrast, text-light version optimized for a bumpy subway ride. If she opens that same email later on her desktop, the template might expand to show a full-screen video demonstration and a detailed technical comparison. Case studies from the leading edge of U.S. digital marketing suggest that this level of environmental awareness can increase engagement by over 40% compared to traditional responsive design. You are no longer sending a message, you are providing a service that adapts to the user's context. Another emerging trend is the integration of zero-party data collection within the template itself. Zero-party data is information that a customer intentionally and proactively shares with the brand. In an era of increasing privacy regulations and the death of third-party cookies, this is the most valuable asset a marketer can own. High-converting templates in 2026 often include interactive polls, quizzes, or preference centers. Imagine a template from a travel brand that asks, "Where is your dream destination for 2027?" with 4 clickable options. When the user clicks, their profile is instantly updated, and the rest of the email dynamically changes to show flight deals and hotel recommendations for that specific location. This turns the email into a two-way dialogue. Historical data indicates that users are much more likely to engage with brands that use their data to provide immediate, tangible value rather than just tracking them silently in the background. We must also address the blurring lines between email and private messaging. In 2026, many U.S. consumers are moving away from bloated social media feeds and toward more intimate, permission-based channels. This has led to the rise of the newsletter-first brand. These are businesses where the email is not a marketing tool for a product. The email is the product. These templates use a raw, minimalist aesthetic that mimics a personal letter from a trusted friend. They prioritize deep dive insights over flashy graphics. A case study of a financial news startup showed that by stripping away all branding and using a simple, plain text template, they increased their reply rate by 500%. This proves that as the world becomes more automated, the value of perceived human connection increases. The future of high-conversion templates lies in the ability to scale intimacy. Let us look at the technical implementation of these future-forward elements. Step 1 is moving your infrastructure to a provider that supports AMP and dynamic content blocks. Step 2 is the creation of a modular design system. Instead of designing a full email, you design individual components: a testimonial block, a product grid, a video player. Your AI then assembles these pieces in a unique order for every subscriber. Step 3 is the implementation of real-time inventory and pricing. There is nothing more damaging to a brand's reputation than sending an email for a product that is out of stock. In 2026, your template should call your website's API at the exact moment the email is opened, ensuring that the prices and stock levels are accurate to the second. If the product Sophia wanted is sold out by the time she opens the email at noon, the template should automatically swap it for a similar item that is available. The psychological landscape is also shifting toward a concept called ethical urgency. We have moved past the era of fake countdown timers. Modern consumers demand honesty. The most successful templates in 2026 use transparent data to drive action. For example, instead of saying "hurry, almost gone," a high-performing template might say "we only have 14 units left in your size at our East Coast warehouse." This provides a factual reason for the user to act quickly. Case studies in the high-end apparel industry show that this level of transparency not only drives immediate sales, but also significantly reduces the long-term unsubscribe rate, because the brand is seen as a reliable source of information rather than a manipulator. Furthermore, we need to consider the impact of voice-activated email consumption. In 2026, millions of Americans are listening to their emails while driving or cooking using smart assistants. This means your template must be optimized for audio. This involves using descriptive alt text for images and ensuring your headings are logically ordered for screen readers. If your email contains a complex table that sounds like a string of random numbers when read aloud, you are alienating a growing segment of your audience. High-performance templates are now being tested for their listenability as much as their readability. This is a new frontier for copywriters, writing for the ear as well as the eye. The step-by-step detail for staying ahead of these trends involves a commitment to continuous experimentation. The brands that win in 2026 are not the ones with the biggest budgets, but the ones with the fastest learning loops. Every template you send should be a laboratory. Test a plain text version against a high-design version. Test a video header against a static image. Use your analytics to see not just what people did, but when and where they did it. By building this culture of testing into your workflow, you ensure that your templates are always evolving alongside the habits of your customers. As we bring this 10-part deep dive masterclass to a close, it is important to reflect on the core principle that connects all these strategies: empathy. Whether you are engineering a subject line, designing a product grid, or optimizing your deliverability, your ultimate goal is to provide value to a human being on the other side of the screen. The templates that convert are the ones that respect the user's time, solve their problems, and speak to their aspirations. You now have the frameworks, the data-driven insights, and the technical roadmap to build an email marketing engine that is not only effective today but resilient for the years to come. But the world of digital growth does not stop at the inbox. While email is the backbone of your retention, it is only one piece of a much larger ecosystem. The way your email strategy integrates with your search presence and your organic content will determine your ultimate ceiling for growth. In our next masterclass series, we are going to pivot toward the world of search engine dominance. We will explore how the latest 2026 algorithm updates have redefined the concept of authority, and why your website's technical health is now more important than your keyword density. We will look at the rise of AI-driven search and how to ensure your brand remains the top recommendation in a world where users are no longer clicking links, but asking questions. Prepare your systems because the next level of your digital transformation starts now.